Happy New Year, everyone. Hope you're having a good start of your new year. And this happened to me on January 1st, so this is a great way to start out my new year. But just want to make a quick narrated video of my crash. So if what you see on my goggles there is a 150 millimeter triple feed patch, which is a very directional antenna, high gain, great for like kind of long range video feed. So anyways, the my mission for this flight was basically to get out further than my last one. So my goal was kind of long range, and these batteries are not great for long range. But I was just beating my 2.3 kilometer record that I had set the other day. So here I take off. I want to point out that I was trying to maintain a flight path of 74 degrees northeast. So that way I was kind of staying. That way I didn't have to shift my head, very often. I basically was just to follow this highway coming up here, and I was also keeping an eye on my altitude because basically I need to go up for a 5-degree slope path would be every 1 kilometer out, go up about 85 meters high. So trying to maintain that direction and altitude, and so here I am heading out here, kind of keeping an eye on my battery, my milliamp hour per kilometer, which kind of is a good gauge to show you how much battery you're using per distance. So so I've already made it a kilometer out here. I'm over 100 meters, so I'm maintaining that slope path. So one thing I want to point out, and one very big mistake I made, but it's not really the battery was the biggest mistake in this video. But one thing I want to point out was that 10 milliwatts that you see up there in the top, that's my transmit power for my radio. I set it to dynamic, but you have to set it, what I didn't know is you have to set that to pretty much the max power, or maybe even 100 milliwatts should suffice. But basically I set it to 10 milliwatts dynamic thinking it would go up, but if you set it to 10 milliwatts dynamic, it will just stay at 10 milliwatts. You need to set it to the highest setting, like 250 milliwatts. So here I am approaching 3 kilometers. So I broke my record, so I was pretty happy. And again, that is really impressive that I made it out to 3 kilometers on 10 milliwatts of power. ELRS is a hell of a modulation type, and kudos to ELRS for making that possible. If you really want to pick your brain, like read about how ELRS works, the chirp spread spectrum modulation type. It's amazing how they've come up with that kind of technology. So here I am turning around. My voltage is at about 3.7, which is about your mid-range. My GoPro died around this spot, so that's why I didn't include my GoPro footage. And my GoPro died and it stopped recording around this spot, so my voltage I think was already too low for it to continue. I lost link, I think, here because my controls stopped working. Luckily I regained link here in just a minute here, or just a second. I am still pitched forward, I think. You just can't see any video feed. I wasn't exactly, I think I was kind of getting up a little bit higher there, kind of they always say if your video feed kind of sucks, kind of punch out and go a little bit higher. So I'm about 130 meters up here, starting to get some video feed, but it's patchy. Yeah, so I'm following the highway back here. Luckily I do make it most of the way back home here, but you can see my voltage has dropped down to, my average cell voltage is 3.6, so not terrible. I still make it quite a ways back here. Let's see, another thing that I would change is my telemetry logs. If you're going to go long range, I thought it was a good idea, and it's not a terrible idea to set your logging your GPS coordinates to your arm switch. But the problem with that is you'll see here in a bit when I crash, I have to disarm because I have no video feed. So my best bet was just to disarm and let it fall. Here's the problem. If you're going any type of speed and you disarm and it stops logging your GPS data and you have no video feed, you basically only get the log of where it was last seen at disarm, which could be quite a significant distance from where your drone actually is and where your drone was disarmed. So I'll explain it here in a second here, but so I don't make it much further than this. You see off there to the right, there's a clearing in the trees. I head over to the other side of the highway because I realize here that with the low battery, and I know that I'm still 600 meters away from my house, I just don't feel good about trying to make it back home over houses. So I head over the highway, which is kind of a risky move, but now I'm over the highway. I feel a little bit more comfortable. Right below me are some train tracks that are barely used. So I'm lost video signal, and I go ahead and disarm already. And there you can see I went into some trees. It's really hard to see that. Really hard to see that. I'm just gonna let the static play out here, but it's very hard to see that video footage. My GPS logs was showing me I was still on the other side of the highway over those train tracks. I was looking in the trees on the other side of the train tracks. So, lesson learned. Biggest lesson is maybe set your switch, your telemetry log switch on your radio to start on a different switch rather than your arm and disarm, because I was looking for my drone for a day relying on those GPS coordinates, but it was actually on the other side of the highway. So even through the video footage, it looked like it fell directly down below the tracks, but if you look closely, go back and replay, like I had to replay it a million times to look through all that fuzziness, and I finally realized that it crashed on the left side of the highway on the south side. I was heading west. It went to the south side of the highway on the other side of the highway, and it was in some trees about 20 meters in. But I did find it, and I am fortunate about that. The battery was shot. The cell voltage went too low, I guess. Maybe got punctured by some tree branches. Luckily, it didn't cause any fires or anything, but very risky move, but great lessons learned. I'm definitely not going to do it on a 1300 milliamp hour battery again. Probably going to look into some higher capacity batteries. So anyways, I appreciate you watching. I hope this was useful. Again, the two takeaways I would say is make sure you have good transmit power from your radio for the telemetry to push for your just to have control link. You want to have that set. You can set it dynamic, but make sure you set it at a higher output than dynamic. Don't set it to 10 milliwatts dynamic like I did. And then also the other takeaway is your telemetry logs. Make sure you have a good source of getting your so those telemetry logs save onto an SD card. Make sure you set it to a switch that even after you disarm, you will still get GPS data. I probably could have saved myself a lot of time by not setting it to the arm and disarm switch. I killed the motors. It fell. I don't know if it was the wind or something, but luckily it went into some trees, not onto the highway. It didn't kill anybody. But big lesson learned was save your telemetry files on the SD card. I think it's called SD log. It's in the special functions on your Radio Master radios. Save it, and save it to a switch that actually will give you the GPS logs after the drone is completely settled down after a crash. Anyways, hope you enjoyed it. Have a good new year and stay safe. Bye.